once again, out, speak up. We always say stand out, speak up. And today, our guest is actually going to be a proof. She's 100% proof of stand out and speak up. Now, the power of resilience, the power of your mindset, the positive thinking, and maintain positive attitude. That is what stand out and speak up is all about. So thank you guys. Before we can go on, before we can dive in, and before I can introduce you to my guest as well, I say we'll be back. Do not touch that button and do not go away.
With ways to save more when you send more, World Remit is here for you, so you can be there for them. At World Remit, we understand what the journey is about, how it can sometimes take a little distance to bring us a little closer together. With ways to save more when you send more, World Remit is here for you, so you can be there for them.
Yeah. Okay, welcome back. Welcome back. Okay, I'm just going to introduce you to my guest. Let's just dive in. All right. So, my darling Shuru, give me high five. I know you just came this morning from a holiday. I'm not going to mention the name because now everybody will want to run and look good like you are looking good. So, I'm not going to advertise the country. If it was Kenya, I could have said it's Kenya.
Yeah.
It's not.
We can say it's Kenya.
Yeah, we can say it's Kenya. Let's leave it. All right.
Yeah.
She just came back from Kenya this morning, okay? And she's here. So, bravo. All right, sweetie. So, introduce yourself. Who is Sharuk?
So, my name's Sharuk, and I am a financial advisor and a business coach, in a nutshell.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, financial advisor and a business coach in a nutshell. Okay, now tell us about your childhood. How was it? How was it like when you're from I'm born to now I know who I am, the environment, the community?
Where do we start?
Start from the beginning.
Okay, so I was born in Iraq, came over in 1990 after the Gulf War. So we came over as refugees, asylum seekers into the country.
And how old were you then?
I was 7.
Okay, 7 years.
So now you're working out my age.
Yeah. No calculation. Guys, do not do that. Do not do that.
We're forever 21.
Yes.
So, after, I came over, my family obviously, did whatever they did to support us. And we built a home in the UK, in London. Growing up wasn't obviously easy because of the two cultures, learning a whole new language. It creates a different type of mindset because you're always kind of going against the grain of two cultures, so therefore you're always trying to adapt and trying to play catch up.
Yeah.
But shall I just fast forward to?
No. We're just
slowly
building up.
So that's kind of like obviously my childhood growing up in the West meeting the East, or the East meeting the West. Yeah.
So did you stick to your culture, or right now are you still in touch with your culture?
Oh yeah. I'm very much in touch with my culture, but I've got the best of both worlds, I would say, because
and you appreciate both of them.
Yeah, okay. Because and obviously my family appreciate both of them, because obviously I live with my family. I'm around my family, I'm around their culture, but I'm also around, my different culture, which is my everyday friends and family outside. So it's about understanding and respecting the two cultures.
Yeah. But how was it when you came? Because coming here at the age of 7, you're grounded already to your other culture. So coming here and trying to adapt into it, your family, friends, the area that you're living in, the schools as well. How was it for you?
I would say it was easy, but then as a child it was easy because you don't know anything different. But at the same time, now reflecting on it, it was actually very hard because it was I would say confusion would probably be the right word to use. Because back home, you're told, the teacher, words is bond, and back home is you go and ask your dad if you can do certain stuff, or and so on. Whereas here, they say ask your mum. Something so minute, however, will create a massive conflict, and it's why you asking your mum, you're supposed to be asking me, and it's like, well, no, my teacher said. To me as a child, I'm not doing anything wrong, but to the home and the culture, it's the two cultures, and it's the understanding of what's going on out here and what's going on over there. It was quite challenging in a sense, because it was the two cultures, it was the two confusions of, okay, do I adapt to my parents' culture, or do I adapt to the culture of here, which is the norm of, let's play out, let's do stuff, let's do this and do that. Everything's different. Yes. And then we're trying to explain it to my family that this is the norm of, this is what happens. And it's like, well, no, this is not what happens.
Yes.
And then conflict happens, which is obviously understandable in them situations. But as time has gone on, we've obviously... education had to be a big part of that, and learning. I've learned, my family have learned, everyone around us have had to learn.
You had to adapt.
Yes, you had to adapt. Yeah. But obviously living in, going to school and kind of always being the odd person of, why am I different? Why are you able to do certain things and I ain't? Why is this okay and I'm not? Are we not kids? And it's that kind of conversation. So I think that's what I grew up with. It was a lot of confusion, a lot of, but why?
Yes.
But why can't we?
Yeah.
Why is this not normal?
Yes.
Why am I not normal?
Yes.
Am I not normal?
Yeah.
And then you build a kind of a mindset of, well, you know what? I'm just going to get on with it. I'm different. Maybe I'm supposed to be different.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's,
But I think that building that maybe I'm supposed to be, I'm different. Let me just, also depends with your family, because if your family is not helping the situation, that's where you get a lot of children who suffer from depression. They suffer from mental illness from this, just coming from a different culture, and then they have to adapt to this culture, and it's so stressful because it's like they're fighting with these two. Where do I fit in? And that's why I love this program, because it says stand out and don't fit in. Because I always say that if you stand out, if you want to fit in, then that means you have to do everything they're doing. If they say let's go clubbing, if they say let's do this, you have to do it because you want to fit in.
Yeah.
But it's really difficult, especially telling a child that you have to stand out. If it's something that they just came in, they're just like, and saying all this confusion. I remember the father of my children. Oh God, it's so complicated. Okay, the father of my children, the mother, or my mother-in-law, or my ex-mother-in-law. Okay. Let me say it like that. My ex-mother-in-law. When she came and she was helping me look after my firstborn, and because my firstborn, she was born here, and she's taught, look at my eye. You understand? Look at me when you're talking to me. Look at me. So that's what she was brought up with. Look at your teachers when you're talking. But our culture, you don't look.
Look at your teacher,
You don't look, because
you look down.
Yeah, you look down. They say,
out of respect.
Respect. So for us, respect is look down.
Look down.
For them, respect is look at me.
Yeah.
Okay. That was a conflict with my mother-in-law and my daughter. And one day I just had my daughter crying in the bathroom, and I was like, what's going on? And my mother-in-law, I don't know what she did to her. And she was like, she's looking at me. She has no respect. She's looking at my eyes. And I say, Mom, that is how they're in this country. Yeah. They're told, look. Now you're saying don't look. So this girl, even though she wasn't born in another culture, all she knew was this, but she was still really confused. Because as parents, we were not born in this culture. So even for us to adapt, that, oh, you have to look at me when you're talking to me. It was kind of really hard.
Yeah.
So for my mother-in-law now to come, which is for all those years she lived in Africa, so she's like, she didn't know, and it was really, really hard. That's why I feel for children who come here and then they now have to start adapting to cultures, because a lot of them find it really confusing.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad that you managed to
get around it somehow. I think it's just about respecting the two. I think a lot of it is about kind of, obviously, once you go past the challenges and the struggles, it's then breaking it down, just like you did with your, in-law. It's about kind of educating. It's what they don't know, so therefore it's going to be wrong. So it's kind of saying, well, this is how it's done.
Yes.
This is not wrong, but this is how, let's adapt.
Yes.
Let's find resolution to the situation. And I think that's what the key part of it.
Yeah. Okay, so now we see Sharuk, and then Sharuk is going, she's growing, she's 7, she's 15, she's 20. Then she hits 20.
She hits 20.
Something happens.
Something really bad happens. Well, I say bad, it doesn't. I think it's a positive thing, really. But it's worked out in that way. So at the age of 20, I fell ill with meningitis septicemia, where I was in a coma for a few weeks, and my parents were told to pull the wire. They said, she's not going to make it, so just pull the wire, call whoever you want, your priest, your imam, whoever, you need to bring, because she's not going to make it. My parents said no. If this is how she's going to be for the next 25 years, then this is our purpose and that's her purpose in life. Then she will be here, but she will come back around.
So they refused to pull the wire, so they said you're going to stay. And that is, in a Christianity world, we always say, whose report do you believe?
Yeah.
Is it God's report or man's report?
Yeah, so we believe the same thing. My family's Muslim, we're Muslim. So, they don't, it's up to God. Let God decide. Let God decide. We're not deciding, that's not in our hand. So obviously I woke up, but when I did wake up, I had a full memory wipeout. So I didn't know a lot. I was paralysed from neck down. I was classed as brain damaged, and that I would never be able to walk, talk, read, write, nothing.
And how long were you in the coma for?
Give or take, possibly 7 weeks, 6 weeks. And then when I went in, I came out of it, and then I went back into a deeper one. So in all, I think it was like around that time. And obviously when I did wake up, I was in hospital for, hospital was my new home. So my parents would come, stay there with me, and then eventually they would have to just go home, and I had to just adapt to staying overnight by myself. But I mean, for the first few months, I would wake up one day, and then it would probably be weeks before I wake up again, or a couple of days before I wake up again, and it's like, oh, well, I remember you wearing a red jumper, now you're wearing a black jumper. But I'm not realising it's a couple of days have gone past till I'm waking up again. But I think what really hurt me the most at the time is when obviously the doctors said that I would never walk again. And they kind of gave up. They said, we're not giving you any more physio, we're not giving you any more, there's nothing we can do, this is your wheelchair, get used to the wheelchair. And when you've got all your friends and your family saying, come on Sharuk, you need to get into, this is your new life, get in a wheelchair, and then you're looking at old pictures and saying, well, no, this is my life, this is who I am. This is the visions I'm getting back, because I'm getting back some memory, you get some flashbacks. And then I'm like, well, no, I remember this girl running for the borough. I remember her, dancing. I remember her going places, and why can't I go back to this person? And throughout all of that, it was, you know, when everybody kind of gives up on, not so much, I can't say give up on you, but it's more of they kind of just want you to learn to adapt your new lifestyle.
Yes.
Because they want you to be happy, but they're seeing you so, you know, down, and you're fighting, but it was like I was kind of up against a unwinning fight, because it was about, you know, the doctors, there's reports saying she would never walk again. You know, just this is your wheelchair. Learn to, you know, move around. And I said, never. No, I can't do that. You know, I remember looking at my mum's face and saying, I can't do that to her. I can't do that to my dad. My little brother's 11 years younger than me. And at that time, if I was 20, you can imagine the age that he was. So as a child, you need your parents' attention. And yet he wasn't given that attention because I was getting that attention because they had to cater for me. So I remember, you know, seeing all of that and saying, and I made a decision, and I said, you know what? Nobody else is going to do this. Nobody else can do this for me. I have to do it myself. I have to build myself to be able to walk again, to be able to do all this stuff again. And
so now you're lying in that bed. So what is going on through your mind at that time you're lying in that bed?
It was how? How do I get myself from this bed to the chair, from the chair to the end of the bed? You know, it was like about baby steps. And it was like, how do I do it? What, you know, when we speak of resilience, when we speak about mindset, it's what are the triggers? What triggers you to build that motivation? You know, to that
within
yourself, what that self-belief, where does that come from? I'm going to go back to my parents' face and my little brother's face. But let's pause on that for 1 minute. If you think about a smoker, a smoker will give up because they know it's bad for their health.
Yes.
Right? But they will still pick up the cigarette one day because they want that cigarette, right? However, if they attach it to a loved one, or they attach it to a mission, for example. So, for example, I want to live longer for my baby's sake, my child's sake. I want to live longer. I want to have a better life, to be able to run around with my child, with my wife, with my husband, and so on and so forth. That's gonna be your motivation to give up.
That'll be your why.
That's gonna be to stop. So every time I thought about, I need to get up from laying in this bed to sitting up on the chair next to me, I thought about my why. And my why was, I can't keep putting my family through this. You know, I don't want to be a burden on nobody. So therefore, what do I need to do for myself to get myself to here? And it was about understanding, it was baby steps. And I did it subconsciously. I never actually
thought about it.
I never thought about it. It would just happened. It was the emotions of, you know, seeing my mum just tired every day at the hospital, my dad tired at the hospital, and then, you know, my brother having, you know, his school play and so on, but my parents missing all of that because they're having to be at the hospital with me and going to doctor's appointments, doing this, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I need to
get up.
Boss up. Get up. Let's go, Shrew. Like, you wasn't this person before. It's nobody else believes in you. You need to show them. It's about you. And I think it was that mindset that I had that took me through them stages of going from here to here.
So how did your family, how did they react on the diagnosis when they told them this? How did they react? Did they just shut down? And your friends as well?
I was 20, so you can imagine we're all young. You know, your friends will only stay around for so long. And I don't hold nothing against anybody. I just want to say that.
Of course,
we're young, so therefore, you know, they want to go cinema, they want to go places out. It's really difficult to take somebody in a wheelchair and you know, have that consideration, you know, okay, do they have disability access? So within time, they kind of just slowly dropped off anyway.
So this is Sheruk now left by herself to decide, do I get comfortable on this chair and this is my life? Or do I get rid of this chair and go back to my life before 20?
Yeah, it was literally that. It was, I remember my mum just kind of having her hand on her head and saying, just please, just get in this wheelchair, Sheruk. You just get up. Just get up and do something. And it was, you know, and I would look at myself and I'm like, well, I just can't, you know, like I can't move my legs. I just like, and I would look and I'm like, just move, like, come on, can we just get up? And I would slap my leg and say, come on, let's get up. Come on, let's go. And nothing would happen. And that went on for like months. I'd see my brother, you know, sitting in a wheelchair, playing with the wheelchair, hitting everything. And we would laugh about it and everything. And it's like, okay, Sheruk, it's your turn now to get in the wheelchair and play around. And I'm like, it's not going to happen, you know. I knew, and I made a conscious decision that the minute I get in that wheelchair, I've set my path. I've set it. I've accepted this is who I am. So I said no, you know, and so I think my mum one day was so tired that not that she forgot my medication, but delayed on the medication, and it was the best thing she ever did, because I was like on 24 tablets a day, you know, and all they did was numb me. So from that, I mean, I say 24, it wasn't all in one go that I took the 24, it was throughout the day. And so there was a period where there was a delay in the medication, but I could physically see the medication at the other side of the room. And so it was either I scream because I want it, or I go and get it. And so that became my why. That became my motivation. I need that medication because now I'm starting to feel my body, which was what you're supposed to do, but I didn't know the feeling. So therefore now I'm going to get...
That feeling is now scaring you.
It's scaring me.
Yeah.
But that scaring me feeling is now driving me to move. So I literally fell off. It was like a mattress on the floor. It was in my parents' front room. And I kind of moved, and that was probably one of my first movements.
From the wheelchair?
The bed.
Okay, from the bed, yeah.
The mattress on the floor. And I kind of fell off it. It was a high mattress, but I fell off it, and you hear bang. You know, then you hear my parents coming run down the stairs, opening the front room door to see me. You know, like how a baby trying to crawl. My mum just said, "Okay, we're gonna close the door, and you're gonna go and get the medication. Whatever you're trying to get, go and get it." And you know, you hear me like, "Oh, help me, I need to get it, you're not listening to me." And I went cold turkey. It was literally to a point where I was sweating, I was angry, I was swearing, it was everything that you can think of. But I made it. It took me about an hour. And
you crawled.
I crawled
with your stomach.
With my stomach and trying to get there, but I got there. And then when I got there, my mum then moved the medication and put it back to the mattress and said,
"Go and get it.
Go and get it." And literally, that made me build strength on the back of that. Now, I'm not here trying to advocate to say don't take medication.
Yeah.
But,
of course.
That's my story.
That was your own fight.
Yeah.
That was your own battle that you were going through.
Yeah. And from then, I thought, right, I did. That was my first step.
Wow.
That was for me.
Even though it was with your stomach, but to you,
Yeah,
that
to me,
was
my
step.
that was my first step. That
'Cause
was
you
like,
never
okay,
did that.
I never did that. So therefore, what else can I do?
Yeah.
And I got what are you doing? You're gonna hurt yourself. The concerned parent,
of
as you
course.
do.
Yeah.
But well done that you got there. But now just relax. Don't do that again. And it was like, well, no, I want to do it again. I want to do it again. And
That felt good.
yeah, that felt good. It was scary. It was tiring, but it felt good. Now I want to do it again. How do we do it again? We stop all medication. So we stopped certain parts of medication. And then from then, it was probably about a couple of weeks later, I was able to stand up. Obviously, I was standing up a couple of seconds and then I'll drop. But again, it's the accomplishment of I did it.
I was able to stand.
Against all odds, against all reports that were told you would never walk again. Physio, no point giving you any physio because
Waste of time. And money.
I'm still on the list for aqua physio, how many years later. I never got it. I never got any treatment. I never got no support. Because I was written off from the from the reports they stated.
Yes.
It was never going to happen. So therefore, why are we wasting our time?
Yeah.
And then from then, obviously, I stood up, and now the real struggle starts. Because the beginning of the real story. So yes, I'm now able to stand up. Yes, I'm now able to take a few steps. Now I'm able to, get from here to possibly there, and then I'm able to now move on a couple of more steps and a couple of more steps. But now comes I can't read or write. At the age of 21 now, I can't read or write. What do you do? Where do you go? I remember going to a shop, trying to buy stuff. I just knew that a £5 note was bigger than a coin. Or a note, not even £5, a note. It was bigger than a coin. I was trying to buy milk. And I put my hand out, and literally I had coins in one hand and I had a note in the other, because I don't know what to give the man. And I was like, where do you go to get educated again? To rewire your brain, like, where do you go? And there was nowhere. There probably is, but it wasn't.
At that time for you.
For me, there wasn't anywhere. So it was all about self-discovery. Just as a child, you discover, you touch fire and it's going to burn. Yeah, it was literally, okay, that's going to burn me. That's hot. That's how you cook. That's how you do this. I remember learning how to do my shoelace. But by this time, I look normal. But my mindset was at the age of 9 or 7. So when people are talking to me, it was, you're talking to an adult.
But it's actually a child.
But it's actually a child standing in front of you. So it was like, well, I don't understand what you mean. I don't get it. And people didn't understand why I didn't understand.
That's frustrations now.
And now frustration is kicking in. So now the mental health kicks in. So now we're having a whole different challenge of how do you go from, okay, so now I've got over walking. Now I've got over the struggle of being independent, trying to get from here to trying to be some form of independency. How do you go from that now to, okay, now I don't want to step outside because the outside world is so scary. There's times when I would go to open my front door, and I wouldn't step outside because it was too much. It was to the point where it was better for me to take my life than it was to actually live. and
see all this experience.
because I can't do it. It was, I'm so different. I'm so different and so far from everybody else and where they're at. How do I catch up?
Yeah. In fact, what you just said about you got to a point where you felt like I'd rather just take my life now rather than live. But initially, it was like you had to make that step of I want to get better. I want to get better. But now that's where you say that was the beginning of the main story.
Main story.
Because now you've gotten to that point. You even started walking, something that you fought, and now you're walking. And then now you just find out that, wow, now what was the point of even fighting at that time?
Yeah, it was, because I now realised life is hard. And life is hard as an adult that is unable. So then it's, where do you go? Who do you run to support? You know, everybody has their own problems. By this time, you know, my friends are having kids, they're buying houses, they're buying cars, they're going out here and there, and I'm learning
You're still stuck in that 9-year-old.
Yeah, and I'm still learning A for apple, B for, you know, and it's like, how do I catch up? How do I play catch up?
But at this time, when you couldn't read or write, were your parents understanding this? And I know your friends at that time, they're like, because you're now in a different time zone, totally.
Yeah, I mean, yes, my mum got me the books, and she bought me the books that were, you know, that would say A for apple, and I would have to read them and look at them and start all over again. Again, with maths, same thing. It was like add 2, get the 2 bananas, and okay, they make up as 4. And we would laugh about it and everything. It was more done in humour than it was done in, okay, this is a lesson. And majority of the time, because I was running more than I was trying to walk, I was learning everything on the go. So it would be like, we go to the shop, okay, so how much was that? Why did we give £50 note? Why did we give £20 note? Why did we give that change? How much was this? And it's like learning everything so fast. It was taking in information so fast. Some of it became jumbled and some of it became just make sense of it. Just kind of fluke it. Just go with the flow. And I think that's when I realised I have a purpose. That was when I realised that.
So is that what inspired you to fight now?
Yeah.
From this down, feeling low, totally suicidal, and this is now what made you, you know what?
Right, yeah.
I want to fight. Now I have a purpose. And I have to fight this.
And I tell you when it was when I tried, I think it was a computer or a laptop at the time, I can't remember. And I couldn't work it. And all they kept telling me is, sure, just switch it off and restart and start again. And that's all I kept hearing. Switch off, restart and start again. I said, hold on a minute. If we're doing this to this thing that's in front of me, this technology, isn't that what happened to me? I got switched off, restarted, and now let's start again. So I'm okay. All I'm doing is starting again. But now I'm starting again.
That's powerful. So that is it.
So all I'm doing now is starting again, but I'm starting again with a purpose and with skill set that I never had before. You know, I'm going to just go back a little bit.
Yeah.
Part of the side effects that I had was one day I would wake up blind. And I'll just lose my vision. And it'll be like, okay, so you turn off the light. And it'll be a giggle. What do you mean? You turn off the lights, the lights are on, stop being silly. But because, you know, I've got a sense of humour, I'm silly, everyone's just thinking, oh, Sharik, what, you know, behave, stop. I know you don't want to go to this hospital appointment. And I'm like, no, really. I can't see.
Yeah.
And it becomes a thing of, oh, are you serious? And then I'd get my eyesight back and it's, oh, okay.
Will it just come back by itself?
It'll just come back. It'll naturally just come back. God. And it's like, I'm walking around with one eye and it's like, oh, I can see with 2 eyes now. And then my hearing will go.
Oh, Lord.
So it's the side effects. These are the side effects. So, but it made me appreciate, you know, the whole reset, start again. I know firsthand what a deaf person would feel like. I mean, to some degree, because obviously
Yeah,
I could
because,
hear
yeah,
before.
yeah.
A blind person would feel like, you know, the scare factor of not being able to see what's around and so on. But it's the how you become so sensitive to certain things. No one gets to experience that. It's not often that you get to experience that. So I have that ability to, I can say, yeah, I have that understanding, the skill set of that. You know?
Even that you couldn't walk. There's a point that you couldn't walk as well.
Yeah, and exactly. It's so all I've done is think of a machine, and we're just programming. We're just putting different programs, different files.
Yes.
And the program is now understanding that.
We put words, we finish, we put
Yeah.
Excel, we
That's
finish,
it, yeah. Exactly. And it's like, okay, now we understand what it's not like to walk, but now to walk, what it's like to be deaf, what it's like to not be able to see, and so on. So then you get these components in your head of skill sets. So it's like, what do you do with them? And that's when I had to sit back and said, okay, well, we're resetting this machine. I've gone through this. So I'm now resetting everything. And so that's when I was like, right, it's time to fight. And that's when the fight and the hunger came in. I said, you know what? I want more. I want to do more. I didn't understand what it is I wanted to do at that stage. I just knew
there's a purpose.
There's a purpose. There's a reason why I've gone through what I've gone through. I remember going through a job interview and they said, oh, fantastic, you've got all these skill sets, but why haven't you been at work for all this time? And I said, oh, well, I've been ill, and I'll tell them the story and they'll be like, oh my God, that's so sad. And they'll say, but you're not experienced because you don't remember any of it. And I'm like, well, yeah, you're right, I'm not. But my CV says I am. And then it's like, well, no, you're very right. My CV says I am, but I don't have them skills anymore because I've had to reset. So now I'm resetting. So I had to go back into, you know, education. I remember applying for the university saying, I don't even know what I'm doing here, but hey, let's just apply. And, you know, writing my first assignment, I said, what is an assignment? To my tutor. And, you know, things like, you know, learning, I couldn't even read or write at that time. So to even write an assignment
was hard.
Was hard. So here I am at 25 trying to go to university, trying to get a job. But, you know, I put it in my head that if the world...
So that's 5 years later.
Yeah.
Of healing process.
Of healing process. Of just trying to get myself from here to here and to able to get some form of normality. I mean, within that, there was a lot of health issues. There was down times.
Yeah, I remember the mirror time. You didn't say the mirror when you saw the mirror and you just walked.
Yeah.
That was powerful for me.
So I wasn't allowed, this is before I actually stood up.
Yeah. That's just going back a little
That's
bit.
going back. So going back to when I was still paralysed, when I'd already just taken like baby steps, but not really. And I wasn't allowed to look in the mirror because I had a lot of scars. I'd gone, you know, very skinny, very slim because I'd lost a lot of weight from being very ill. And I went to I needed to go to the toilet, so we went to the commode that was right in front of a mirror. And my mum usually stands in front of me so that I don't look in the mirror. I don't know if she did that subconsciously or she knew what she was doing. So she would stand in front of me, but this time she went because there was something on the news. And I saw this skeleton. And I was, that's not me. That's who's this person? And I remember just kind of pulling myself up and saying, wow, who are you? You know? And looking at how fragile I looked and how all the scars and I just said, no, I am definitely fine. Like this is not happening. This is not me. This is not the person in the picture because I'm visualizing this person and this person looks healthy. So who's this person? This can't be me. And it was that moment is when I just said, you know what, I'm getting up. And that was the time when I took my first steps, and I kind of put my hand on my mum's shoulder and said, what are we watching? And she looked at me and was like, the news? And it was in shock, but she kind of didn't want to make a big deal out of it. And obviously I dropped after that, but she didn't want to make a big deal out of it. But it was I think that moment there was the moment I said, I need to start eating. Because literally at that point, I was only probably having one spoonful of food, or I'd get these carton drinks that they prescribe you, and you drink that for the day, and that's your food. So you're not... I was two different people. And I
like that mirror part, because every time I always say that if you can't do something, or if you feel like you're giving up, or if people are saying things to you, and that's why I always say, don't let people project their fears on you, because people are so fearful. There's a lot of negative energy going around, a lot of negativity, you know, and they want to project that on you. And every time they try to project that on you, when you carry it, go to the mirror and look at yourself, and always 100%. Say, the person you see in that mirror is the only person who stop you from becoming what you want to become. So when you told me the story and the mirror part, what touched me was the mirror so much, because that mirror made you do something. When you looked at yourself, because all this time you had not seen yourself. So you could have just continued eating that one spoon, could have continued to do what you're doing. But when you looked at yourself in the mirror, that was the only person in the other side that was preventing you from doing what you wanted to do. And
that stayed with me. So that's something I still do today. So every time I'm going through a moment, anytime I'm going through a struggle, heartache, pain, whatever it is, it could be that I don't know where the next bill, how I'm paying the next bill. I look at myself in the mirror and I'm like, how are you going to pay that bill? Come on, Sharuk, like, what are you going to do today? Yes. How are you doing this? How are you going to overcome this? What advice are you giving this person? So I talk to myself in third party. So it's not, I'm not Sharuk, the person in front of me is, but what advice am I giving this person? Like, why are you crying? Why are you feeling so low? You've come so far and you're upset about this? Get it together. And it's that kind of conversation I have with the mirror.
The power of the mirror.
The power of the mirror.
The power of the mirror. The power of the mirror. That stuck with me when you told me that. And because I know, and that's even when I'm talking to my children, I always say that when you feel like you can't do anything, go and look at yourself in the mirror. Talk to that person. Yeah. And if that person is you, because it's always you anyway,
it is.
Then you know what you're talking about. Yeah. So it's the power of the mirror. So this is Sharuk. You've done all this. You've fought, and the mirror inspired you to fight and everything. And you could have done everything that you, any job. You could have been a doctor, a lawyer, or this, but you chose to go into finance. And
why?
So,
why have I done it to myself? Why have I done this to myself?
Why did you do this to yourself? And actually, when you're talking about the physio and everything, I was just thinking private medical. If you had private medical cover.
I'm going to get to that, yeah.
Exactly. So
I'm going to get to that. So, from obviously when I realized that this is my purpose, I learned how to count money. And I said, how many more young people like myself that are probably in the same position? So then I obviously learned, I started volunteering at a youth centre. And then from then I went on to delivering workshops, Money Matters. So then I got into learning. So while I was learning about how money works, I was also teaching how money works.
From someone who couldn't count.
To
now someone
teaching. So then I went and I did that. And then I stumbled across insurance. And I said, at first, you get the same old, oh, insurance is a scam, what do we do, it doesn't work, blah, blah, blah. And I said, but is it? You know, and I looked into it and then I said, if I had that insurance in place, if my family had the knowledge to get them insurances in place, do you think my recovery time would have been 5 years, 10 years, or a year? Because we would have had the resources, the money, because obviously I skipped out a big massive part, which is obviously while my parents were around the clock looking after me, because that's who was really impacted. It wasn't just me, it was everybody around me. My dad had to obviously give up his, working. My mum couldn't go to work. My brother couldn't do his after school stuff, and so therefore hardship kicked in. Now, had we have had
insurance,
the education behind it, then certain things would have been put in place for the just in case.
The just in case that nobody knows.
That nobody knows.
Because even this one that you just say just in case because nobody knows, before your illness, you just went to bed. You just went to bed and you just woke up in the morning and something was different.
Yeah, and I couldn't feel my hand. That's all
just
it was.
From going to bed in the morning.
And then I woke up and I just couldn't feel my hand, and then that pain escalated, and then it was, to be honest, it was one of the best days of my life in a sense of, because I was waiting to get my flat that day, and it was the day I received, so I was fighting the council to get my flat, and I got my council property at that day, March the 5th of 2004, and it was the day I went into hospital. So one battle ended, another battle started.
And you didn't know. So that what you just said about the knowledge of insurance for the unknown, something that you don't know.
Don't know. And do you know, and what's crazy is, obviously now doing what we do, is you understand how much people don't understand. They lack the education, or they, the reason why it doesn't work, why, or what is out there for them for the just in case. The biggest killer in is stress. It's what causes everything else, So if we can eliminate that, how do we do that?
Yes.
What things do we put in place to eliminate? You can't avoid illnesses. You can't avoid... I mean, look, COVID. Who would have thought we would have been in a world pandemic?
The whole world.
The whole world. But here we are. Had we had that in place, my recovery time would have been a lot less.
Private medical.
Private medical, even if it was a payout, because I would have got a payout if I had critical illness cover.
Yes.
That would have been utilised to obviously adapt the house. That would have been utilised to get me better treatment. I didn't need to be waiting on the NHS.
Yeah.
That could have been paid.
Physio.
Yeah. But my parents had to fork out to get this stuff privately because they needed, second opinions, third opinions to what they can do and what they can't do. But these things cost.
And those things are actually, if you have insurance, it's free.
It's free.
Second opinion is free. Best doctors is free out there. Everything is free.
It is. Even down to counselling.
Yeah. Counselling is free. Mental illness is free. Everything. Physio as well. All that is free.
Yeah.
But if only.
If only. But we didn't. So here we are today. Yeah.
And that was what inspired you to come to get out in the community, especially your community, that, and start talking to them about insurance.
Yeah. That's why I fell in love with it.
Because it fell in love.
Fell in love. Yeah, I fell in love because it was too close to home. If you've got a mortgage and you don't have certain covers in place, or you've gone to Google, or you've gone to, and you don't even know, you're just kind of ticking boxes in hope that they pay out. Oh, do you even know what you've got? So it's kind of like, I like to talk to people. But that's what made me fall in love with it. It was the education part. It's the adding value. It's, okay, so I'm going through something. Why do my parents and everybody else around me have to? Let's, you know, maybe if they had the money, they could have paid for cabs for me to go and back and forth to the appointments.
Yes.
You know, or whatever it is, you know. But we didn't have that. So
you've now taken it upon yourself that you have to educate people, because the thing is, sometimes I know some people look at it and say it's ignorance, but it's not really ignorance. It's because some people don't really know anything about it. I've met people who, when I tell them about insurance, they don't even have a clue, and someone will say, oh, that's not true. It is true. There are some people who have no clue whatsoever about insurance, and they'll ask you, what's that?
Yeah.
And then you also have the ones that they know about insurance, but they think that will never happen to them. And I think we meet a lot of those ones that always say, oh, that will never happen to me. So if something like this, if something like what happened to, oh yeah, I'm too young. Okay, you're only 20 years old when that happened to you.
Yeah.
And this happens to a 5-year-old, a 4-year-old. Anything can happen to anybody at any time. Because there's this guy, he's a preacher, he's called T.D. Jakes. He always says that the rain rains to the righteous and the unrighteous, all of you. And that when he says that, he means blessings rain to the unrighteous and the unrighteous. Something bad can happen to the righteous and the unrighteous. There's nobody that chooses and say, oh, because I'm a very good Christian or I'm a very good Muslim, I'll never die. Or my child will never die. Or this will never happen to me. It doesn't. Things happen. Everyday things happen. That doesn't mean you're not a good Christian. That doesn't mean you're not a good Muslim. That doesn't mean you're not a good person.
Yeah.
Things just happen.
Exactly. They
to
do.
Anybody at any time. So if it can happen to your neighbor, what makes you think that it can never happen to you? Because the same thing you're saying about your neighbor is saying it about you. Your neighbor is saying it's not going to happen to me. It's just going to happen to the next door neighbor. That neighbor too is saying the same thing to you. Do you understand? So what makes you think that can never happen to you? So we get a lot of that, of I'm too young, it can never happen to me, or that will never happen to me, or I'll never die. I get people who tell me,
God will save me.
Yeah, God will save me. And I tell people, even if you die at 100, because some people say, oh, I'll die at 100, I'll die at 120, die at 200. That's fine. But even if you die at 500 years, you're still dead.
Yeah, you're still dead.
You're still dead. Either way, you're still dead. And you still need people to bury you, or you to be buried. You still need finances to do all those things. Do you understand? 100%. So this is something that we battle with. But because you've gone through so much health issues, and I can't sit here and pretend I understand, because you've gone through that, do you find it easier to relate to people when you're talking to them and probably tell them what happened to you, for them to buy private medical, for them to buy insurance?
Yes and no, because at first it sounds like a sales pitch.
Yeah.
It's like,
nobody believes
me. And then it's like, well, here's my picture.
Yeah.
Here's this. And then, it, you know, I'm not lying. And then they realize, oh. But how I kind of do it is, the consultations are usually, you know, it's you think for yourself. What would you do in a case of, okay, you know, I'm going to say Bob and Jill, they've got 2 kids. Bob falls ill, and he's the person that pays the bills. How do you continue? How many people are affected? And then I ask them the question, and they'll be like, oh, okay, well, you know, obviously Jill's going to have to look after him. Okay, so who's looking after the kids?
Exactly.
Who takes the kids to school? Okay, so while you're taking them to school, who's looking after Bob?
Wow. And that's the time Bob can fall off the bed. That's the time something can happen to Bob.
Exactly. So it's, okay, so let's think about that. All right, so what about if you need adaptation in your house? Can you afford to pay that? They're like, well, you know, you'll get what? What will you get? You think the NHS are going to provide you with what? I'm still waiting. You know?
Today.
Till the today.
Yeah.
You know, I was in a wheelchair and I, paralyzed from neck down. I just want to say this. I claimed for disability living allowance the first time, and then they said to me, well, no, you don't qualify.
What?
I'm paralyzed from neck down. I just want to say that. So therefore, I didn't qualify. I had to fight to get that. So you think that a lot of people feel entitled. That's the problem.
Yeah, entitled, yes.
That the government will give you, or the government will help. Stop relying on the government, because the government will not be there.
It's not that something happened to you today, tomorrow the government start giving you something, and sometimes you have to fight and stuff. So imagine like the scenario you just rightfully gave. Now I'm looking after Bob. The same time I'm looking after Bob, I'm also fighting with the government because now to help us financially. Yep. So what would that do to my mental state of mind? And I also have children who are running up and down. Mommy, they know dad is sick, but they don't understand. They don't understand because they still need to go to school. They still need to eat. They still need mommy there. Yeah. And they don't even understand, why are you not now looking after us? You're just looking after dad all the time. Yeah. Resentment still starts coming in as well. The wives probably resentment start coming in. There's no money coming in because now, come on guys. But, just put it in that perspective of the role play that you just gave us right now. If you put it like that, or even if you're a single mother or a single father, and then something happens to you, now, who looks after your children? Do you understand? Because if you have insurance and they pay out, then you can even hire someone to look after you being sick and also to look after the children. Exactly. But if you don't...
Or you can just take time out. The whole family can just take time out. You can afford to do that.
Yeah.
And get better, because the number one killer is stress. And the stress is financial stress. Because, God forbid, you get diagnosed with cancer stage 2, it will develop into stage 3 quickly because of stress. Whereas if you can pause and say, do you know what, I've taken care of all the mortgage bills, the bills of the house, the household, this and everything, that's been taken care of.
Hit the pause button and relax.
And now let's switch off, reset, and start again. So then it's, now let's start again. Okay, so now I've got this challenge. Now what can I do? But I've put certain measures in place for that what if. But a lot of people are scared of the what if.
Yes. The fear of the unknown is actually killing a lot of us slowly. And even the Bible says that my people perish for lack of knowledge, because of lack of knowledge. And some people as well say, oh, I'll do tomorrow. Oh. But you don't know what tomorrow brings. Yeah. Because nobody... Sharuk, some people, you say goodbye to them, they leave your house, and you guys have said, oh, bye, I'll see you tomorrow. I'm just going to the shop. That never happens.
Well, that happened to a friend of mine. Was the last time I saw her was on my birthday. I dropped her home. The next day she passed away from a headache. So she left 2 beautiful children behind. So it happens.
It happens every time.
You just don't know what's around the corner. You just don't know. So it's about being equipped. And I think, again, going back to everybody in this planet has a purpose. Think of a business. Yeah? Everyone has a job role in a business in order for that business to
prosper.
Yeah, to progress and grow and so on. The world is a business. Just think of it that way. And everyone has a job role. I believe that, my purpose, our purpose, is to educate people. And that's what, when I was given my reset button was to come back to educate people. So I had to go through that experience to educate people. Exactly. So it's the more education, the more awareness that we put out, the more people will be equipped. The rich stay rich and the poor stay poor. Exactly. It's just one word, and that's education. it's not because they stay rich, it's because they're educated, they get to know, they are informed. Whereas the poor stay poor because they don't know and they don't get informed. You know, they're too busy chasing their tail of how to pay the next bill, whereas the rich have the time and the capacity to sit back and say, okay, teach me.
They work smart.
That's it.
Yeah.
So it's what position do you want to be in, and what position do you want the next generation to be in that you leave behind. So I think that's why I fell in love with the products or the services. It's the education behind it.
So can you just tell us what's the different products? What do you have? Because sometimes when people say life insurance, and it's so funny because today we had some people come to teach us more about the product, because the thing is, even though we are into insurance and we've done it for so many years, you cannot know everything. Because there are so many providers. They provide different services, different products, and you have to know, what is this one doing? What is this one doing? What is this one doing? So tell us different types of insurances, because people always just think it's only life insurance.
No.
And if I have life insurance, I'm only going to get it when I die. But you can still, there's so many benefits.
So you have obviously the life insurance, you've got the critical illness, you've got income protection, you've got family income, private healthcare, I can't think of anything more. You've got the mortgage protection, you've got inheritance tax, you know, mitigate inheritance tax. Oh gosh, there's so many.
So just go through with us, just few, just like maybe, let me just say the most common ones. So we have life insurance, and then we have critical illness. Those are the most common ones. We have income protection, which everybody should have, by the way. Income protection. And then we also have people who have mortgage and they don't have mortgage protection. Those I feel sorry for. So sorry for.
Definitely.
So mortgage protection as well, because there's a lot of people who have mortgage. But do they have mortgage protection?
No.
Or probably do they have the right one also? Because there's one thing having insurances in place, and there's another thing having the right insurances in place. So tell us, what is life insurance?
So life insurance is broken up into 3 aspects. So it mitigates obviously your funeral cover. It mitigates any debt that you have, and then you
Family fab, is it part of that, the life insurance?
Family income. Well, we'll come to that afterwards. It's kind of we break it down, and then we decide which one is what one is suitable for the individual. So you've got debt, funeral, and then you've got legacy. Legacy is obviously what we leave behind for our loved ones. Debt, we look at, obviously that's when mortgage covers come into it, any secured or unsecured loans comes into it, because people think, oh, I'm dead. You know, my debt goes with me. It doesn't actually. It goes to your next of kin. You know, so that's that. And then there's the inheritance tax. Obviously, for those that have got properties or estate, so it's the state value. So it's covering your state value. And obviously, by sitting down with a mortgage advisor, with a financial advisor, you can work out your state value and then what your inheritance tax looks like. But there's different ways of mitigating that. There's gifting, there's different ways. So that's a whole complete different ball game. Then you've got your family income benefit. Now, why that is important is, for example, if I had kids and I then left my child to be with my Aunt Susan. I don't have an Aunt Susan, but for this purpose, we have an Aunt Susan. But Auntie Susan has taken over my kids and said, oh, well, you know, I've just got 200k. I'm going to buy the next Ferrari. I'm going to buy the next whatever. And then my child...
Range Rover. And then your child is left with
nothing. Still sitting there suffering and so on. Now, what you can do is it becomes an income. So then Aunt Susan gets the $2,000 every month or the grand every month or whatever it is, dropped in her account in order to
look after
my child. So there's different things. So, but it all depends on the concerns that you have and your foundation and your circle around you. So that's sort of, it's a discussion that you have, and then you draw out them sort of discussions, and then you work out the best plan for you. Then obviously you've got the critical illness. In the case of a serious illness, such as, you know, your heart attacks, your cancers, your strokes, your meningitis, what I had, then it's a payout. It's a MS,
kidney failure, liver failure.
Which I want to say, MS is actually on the rise. It's a lot of people are developing MS, and from a very early age. And a lot of I can't remember the name of it now. The prostate
cancer.
That's the one. Yeah. That's again usually
on
goes
the rise
on the rise on the men. So therefore, you know, that gets covered.
And actually, cancer is so bad, because I know there's a lot of my community people that are really dying of cancer, and I don't even understand, because before, Kenyan community, we didn't really have cancer, or maybe we didn't know it was cancer. Maybe it was there, but we didn't know. And now, even in Kenya, forget even in the UK, there's a lot of Kenyans who every time cancer. So that is why we need to have these things in place, because when you have cancer, when you've been diagnosed, it's not a pretty thing. And you cannot just say, oh, I am strong, I'm bouncing back.
No.
Never. It doesn't happen like that.
It doesn't.
Regardless of how strong you are, there's a time that you just feel like, oh God, why? Do you understand?
Yeah.
And when you have an income coming in, or you have a lump sum of money coming in, it's not going to take the cancer away.
No.
But somebody tells you that if you have this, there's in fact, they even told us today something, especially in children, if they have cancer. Because if they're saying that if they give you chemo, it's like a poison they're putting inside you, especially if it's a child. But if you have critical illness cover, then your child can be taken abroad for treatment. And
global treatment.
And that treatment is just few, I think it's in America, there are just few countries that have it.
You get the best doctor.
You get the best doctors.
And so even if you want, like, if your child needed a kidney, a kidney will be waiting on the other side.
On the other side.
Literally waiting to do the
transplant. Yeah. So imagine, and what that guy said today, I won't say from what provider, and he said that we are actually fighting with Sky. And I didn't understand what he said, and I said, what do you mean we are fighting with Sky? Yeah, we are fighting with Sky, Bill. Somebody is paying £90 to watch Sky, and they cannot pay £50 for their insurance.
Yeah, no, it's embarrassing.
It's so embarrassing. They're paying £90. So he was like, we are fighting with Sky. Yeah. So when he said that, I didn't understand. But when he said, oh, the bills, I said, oh, yeah. I've actually met somebody like that who was paying 90-something pounds for Sky, because no, I have to watch this, I have to watch football, I have to. But do you have insurance? No. And when you die, what's going to happen? I want to be repatriated. By who?
By who?
Who's going
paying
to do that?
Who's paying that?
So you're leaving your debt to the community, to the Kenyan community, to struggle with you, and the £10 or the £20 that could have done something for myself and my children, I have to give it for you for repatriation. But yet you are paying £99 watching Sky. And now you have no shame whatsoever. Do you understand? No shame. So when he said that we are fighting with Sky people, I was like, it's true, because I've met that.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I've had
misplaced priorities.
Yeah, it's. Do you know what it is? I put it up on my social the other day. Don't be that parent. Don't be that parent at the bottom of the bed screaming, "Oh, help me! Let's do a GoFundMe. I need. My child needs a new kidney, or a new this, a new that." But hold on a minute. You cancelled my consultation 3 times in a row. Wasn't that God sending me to you then? If that's the case.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes things happen for a reason. We come across people for a reason, but isn't that then the reason?
Yes.
I got in touch with you to make that appointment so that you don't end up being that parent. It's embarrassing.
It is.
And it's all based on affordability. So it's whatever you can afford is what it is. So we're not telling you need to pay £90. We're not telling you need to pay £50, but it's whatever your pocket can afford. And that's a discussion that you have with your financial, with your consultant.
But you see, the thing is, because of especially my community, and the struggle that I see that happens when someone pass on, I always say, don't even come to me, don't take it with me, because sometimes it's that, I don't want to take it with Sharuk, or I don't want to take it with Lydia or Tom, whatever. That's fine. But I just want you to have the education that you need it. So we have so many providers. They can always go on Google, and these providers will be like this. Just find one provider, take insurance. It doesn't matter who you take it with. And that's what I always say. It's not necessary. You don't have to take it with me.
With us,
You don't have to, but just
get the
take
education.
it.
Get
just
the education.
Take it.
And that's it. And that's all I ever say to anybody that I meet. Take the education. And that's why I said, going back, I fell in love with the education side than anything else. It's kind of spread the word. If you choose to take it with me, that's brilliant.
Yeah, that's fine.
But if you don't, you've got the education. I've done my job. I've met you. Our paths have crossed. I've passed on my knowledge, and now it's your job to do whatever is right for your family.
Yeah. Because there's even a guy in my community who passed on, and he had insurance, but not with me. But when he passed on, all his papers were not correct. So the funny thing is, now they came back to me, okay? And they're like, oh, we need your help. And I did help them. So I called the insurance company, I gave them the tips, I helped them, I told them what, and they were paid. But when I looked at what the person had, I felt so sorry, because the person was paying so much money for rubbish money. It was only £10,000 that he was covered for, but he was paying so much more that he could have, if he had proper education into it, he could have had more. But because he just ran for Google and he said, oh, I don't want to go with Lydia, let me go and get it, which is fine. He went and got it. But at least he had it. At least he had 10,000 in place. But now they had to come back to me to help them claim the money. So I did help them, but they did get the £10,000. So what I'm saying is, even if you don't want to take it with us, but just have it. It will 100%. Help you. It will help you. It will help your family. It will help your children. It will also help the embarrassment probably of your children, because now your children see. So mom used to just go to work, or dad used to work, mom used to work, all these things. For what? Now they're gone. We have to now start begging aunties, go fund me, do this. Or, do you understand? Yeah. So, and I always say that, especially with our community, things like GoFundMe, or things like, not GoFundMe, things like giving. It's a norm. That is something, we call it Harambee spirit. That one is something we've had in Kenya since I was born. We always have that. We also have, if you're going to get married, we have something called pre-wedding. So
we got that. We got the same thing.
And they give money. So it's something that it's in our culture. So we love doing it, and we just do it freely. But the thing is, when it now turns into duress, that if you give £10, you're embarrassed. If you give, or if you can't afford this one, you're embarrassed, and that's all you have. Or if you give £50, you're embarrassed. You can't even. You don't want people to put your name there. That is now becomes a problem. And also, giving should be a extra gift. Like, oh, you know what, Anne, take this. Your mama's gone, but take this. But Anne had insurance, so this is just something that, because we do this as a community, and it's something that nobody can stop us from doing. We just want to give you as a gift, but not. If you don't give this money, this person is not going to be buried. This person is not going to go to Kenya. This person is, guys, please give. And it's pressure.
It's the pressure. It's the, oh, well, he didn't give, so I'm not going to give.
Yeah.
Don't put yourself through that. This is what, don't put yourself through that. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. You know, if you're working that hard, if you look at how much, a Nando's is for you and your family, you probably do that once a month. Why can't you pay your insurance policy once a month?
Well, we'll come back again just to talk about the insurance thing now, because somebody actually told me that, Lydia, you do not do enough topic of insurance. And I'm like, because she's my client, or she doesn't say but nobody knows who she is anyway. But she's my client, and she was like, Lydia, you don't do enough of these things. And I was like, what do you mean? In your talk shows, you should do at least talk of insurance for at least twice a month. And I know twice a month is too much, so maybe once a month we'll be doing that. So because of time, I just want you to talk to somebody who is seriously sick out there and is on the verge of giving up. So just talk to somebody who is sick and is thinking, you know, I'm going to give up. So using your own experience, just talk to somebody out there.
My advice would be is giving up isn't the option. It's self-belief. I'm going to go back to my story and I can learn all the skills, you know, go to all the courses, learn all these things. But without self-belief, you have nothing. So, yes, you're going through a hard day today. Yes, you are going through what you're going through today. But tomorrow can be a better day if you choose. We're going to come across all sorts of challenges every day. But it's how we deal with them is what matters. We have choices. A choice of staying in bed or a choice of getting on with it. How do we overcome the baby steps? Talking is good. Find somebody to talk to. If you don't have anybody to talk to, then write it down. Make that pen and paper be your best friend. Make the mirror be your best friend. I didn't have anyone to talk to. I didn't have anybody that was going through what I was going through, that could understand what I was going through. Speak to the mirror. Make that be your best friend. That would be my advice.
Thank you very much. And what advice would you give to a family or friends or parents who have sick people around them? How do you tell them to encourage somebody?
Stay positive, but get yourself, you know, whatever stress is going round, don't add to that. Eliminate it by get yourself educated, book yourself a consultation, find out what's there for you, and support is there. It's just a matter of picking up the phone.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Well, Sharuk here as well. I hope I pronounced that name properly.
Yeah, you did. That's fine.
Sharuk also here is, as much as she went through so much, and our story always encourages me actually to, even when I feel like I'm tired, you know, people always say, oh, Lydia, you're strong. But even the strongest human as a stone sometimes feels down. And sometimes they need help as well. Sometimes they need someone to encourage them or to just give them that nudge.
Yeah.
But anytime I think of your story, it actually inspires me to look forward to the next day or the next hour, the next minute.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. So as much as Sharuk she's a motivational speaker as well. So if you wanted her to come to your church or your mosque or your event, anything to come and motivate, you can always reach Sharuk. I'll ask her to give us our details. And also, she's also a financial advisor and business coach. So if you want a financial advisor in terms of insurances, she's here as well. She can give you that. Or even business, to somebody to coach you through your business plan, how to start your business. She's also here. She can do that. So get in touch with Sharuk. And she's a very lovely person. Yay! She will help you with anything you want. Okay. So Sharuk, as we go, can you just give us your contacts if anybody wants to contact you?
Yeah. So you can get me on my Instagram, Advice by Sharuk, or you go to www.advicebysharuk.com. You can book a consultation there. You'll read more about the story there as well. Get to know me a bit more. And there's a lot more coming in the next year, so there's obviously, if it's okay, then there's a book coming out, there's a lot more events coming, so yeah, you're going to see more of this face.
Just repeat your contacts again. That was so fast, even me, I'm here, I couldn't hear it.
So advice by
Sharuk. So advice by Sharuk.
Yeah, so it's advice_by_Sharuk.
Okay, so advice_by_Sharuk.
Yeah, that's on Instagram. And then on I've got a website, so www.advicebysharuk.com.
So there's no underscores in this one?
No.
So just advice by Sharuk. Okay, cool. Okay, guys, so you had that. So thank you very much, everybody who tuned in today to watch the show. And again, we're here next week on Wednesday, again, 6:30 p.m. UK time. And because of time has changed in the UK, you know, this UK, we are like confused.com when it comes to time. One time we are 2 hours ahead of you. No. Yeah, no. We are 2 hours behind Kenya time. Sometimes we are 3 hours behind Kenya time. So right now, the times have changed in the UK. So now we are 3 hours ahead. We are 3 hours behind Kenya. God, I get confused with this. So now, it's 6:30 p.m. UK time, and in Kenya is 8:30 p.m. Kenyan time. So I'll meet you again next week on Wednesday. And as we say, stand out, speak up, and it can only be God. See ya.
At World Remit, we understand what the journey is about, how it can sometimes take a little distance to bring us a little closer together. With ways to save more when you send more, World Remit is here for you, so you can be there for them.